Superintendent Kelly Bielefeld here on February 26th. I'm going to read a prepared statement, then we'll answer questions. This may be one of the more uneventful press conferences we have because we still have a lot we don't know. Yesterday didn't end the day the way we had hoped because we hoped we'd have a very clear answer by now, which we don't. It was a very solid turnout with close results, and we're going to wait until the last vote has been counted. I do want to thank everyone who took the time to vote and make their voice heard, but especially those who spoke up for better experiences for our kids. Countless community members and parent volunteers showed their support for kids and their education, and that alone is a win. Despite the uncertainty of the results, there are three things that are very clear. Wichita Public Schools is dedicated to making every student future ready. The facility needs have not gone away and won't until we have funds to address them. And we are committed to running the district in the most efficient way while serving all of our children. Again, we will wait until all the votes are in. We will reevaluate if needed, and we will keep moving forward to continue making a difference for the students of Wichita Public Schools. And that is my prepared remarks, and I'll stand for any questions.
Still within 1%. If it still remains that way after the last vote is counted, are you going to ask maybe for a recount? Is that something the district can do?
Honestly, we haven't looked into that yet. It would just depend on how close it is and the cost of that and all of that. So, yeah.
Just to clarify, the results are expected at 4 p.m. today, right?
I don't have that knowledge. I believe mail-in ballots are accepted up till Friday.
Okay.
So, but I'm not an election official, so that would be a question for somebody other than me.
Is the district considering maybe a smaller bond issue if this one does not go through?
Yeah, at this point, we're not going to speculate until all the votes are counted on what the next steps might be.
Does the school district gauge its optimism based on the situation that we're looking at right now?
Yeah, I don't really have an answer for that. I mean, obviously, the current status, it's within 1 percentage point. The no's are ahead of the yeses, but until all the votes are counted, we won't really know, what the next steps are.
Steve, one of the claims from the no group was that you should have used COVID money to fund some of these changes. Is that something that was an option that was on the table? Talk to me a little bit about that.
No, that was not on the table, right? That wasn't all of our COVID money. Every dollar we spent with COVID was pre-approved through KSDE. All of those dollars are accounted for, were audited more than any other dollars that were audited. Claims like that, I think, were intended to mislead. And so that none of that is factual. So
You couldn't have used those funds to make repairs. Those were designated for other.
Right. Yeah, there was very strict guidelines on the COVID money, what we could use it for. Yeah.
Do you think there's a specific reason why the vote ended up the way it did last night?
Yeah, I think depending on once all the votes are counted, we'll evaluate, all of that based on the precinct data and everything else. But at this point, we're going to wait and see how it ends up.
I know you said that you don't know next steps yet, but if the vote were to go to no vote, how soon would you consider putting up another bond vote if that were the next step?
Yeah, we're going to wait till all the votes are counted to make that decision. So that may not be a conversation we need to have, depending on, the rest of the ballots that are out there.
Has that not even been part of conversations or?
Well, no, I mean, I think we need to get through this vote before we talk about a next vote, if there is one. So, and since we still feel, within the margins that we still know there's ballots out, we still know that there's votes to count. So until all those votes are counted, we're just gonna wait and see, and then make determinations after that.
So after all the votes are counted, and it's still really close where you ask for a recount?
Answering that question again, I don't know. Yeah, it depends on how close it is, depends on the cost, depends on all of those sorts of factors. Again, that's kind of outside of my wheelhouse. I'm not an elections guy. I'm a school guy, so I don't know those things.
I spoke to people on the Yes campaign last week, and they kind of were saying that they didn't think it was going to be this close, and that they kind of expected that they were going to win, which, I mean, of course, most people expect they're going to win either side.
if you could kind of say why you think a lot of people voted no, what would you say?
Oh yeah, I don't really have a good answer for that. I do think the turnout was um, high for a special election, low for in general, right? Having 26,000 or so people show up and make their voice heard for our kids is that's good and that's important. And as I stated earlier, we've had a lot of really good conversations about the needs of our district, and that in and of itself has been positive as we try to educate everybody about it. So.
This was a big, I mean, you have only very recently become superintendent. This was a very big test for you in your first couple of years. Can you kind of speak to that?
Yeah, I think my approach, and the school board is very supportive of this, but my approach is that, if we need to make decisions, even if they're hard, right? And we've had to make some hard decisions, and so we'll continue to do what's best for kids and what's right for kids. And like I stated earlier, our needs aren't going away, regardless of how this bond vote ends up. We'll still have a lot of needs and a lot of buildings. If you engage at the Board of Education meeting on Monday night, you'll see millions of dollars that we're putting into repairing buildings, just the foundations of our buildings, right? Those dollars don't help kids learn and read. They just help keep our buildings open. And so we'll continue to tell that story. We'll continue to talk about the needs that we have. But I don't think regardless of what the challenge is, I don't think ignoring it or kicking the can down the road is the right approach. That's not my approach. My approach is to hit it head on and try to do what we need to do to make our community a better place and improve our outcomes for kids.
Seen over the past few months, as we've kind of moved towards this bond vote, you guys have talked about how some of the steps on the facilities master plan will happen regardless of whether the bond vote passes or not. So I wanted to check in on some of those next steps, like the school closures that you were talking about. Kind of, if you could go over what will still happen in the facilities master plan regardless of how this goes.
Well, the not a great answer for you, but the answer is the plan is the plan, and so it'll just take longer for us to achieve that plan, right? But to answer your question, the schools that are slated to close, the board voted for that plan to be what we move forward with. We'll wait till every vote's counted, obviously, but we will have to adjust and look at timelines, kind of depending on how that goes once all the votes are counted. So.
Do you have an estimate on that timeline? I think there's been, speculation that it could be 30 years if this bond does not.
Oh yeah, not really. Honestly, I don't. You guys know kind of our budget numbers and the cost of a new school and all that kind of stuff. But there are parts of the plan that we could do sooner than later. But it, without, as I stated earlier, we have needs and those needs require funds, and so we'll have to continue to evaluate how we meet those needs with the funds we have.
Is there a plan to tweak attendance boundaries?
Yeah, that's a good question. For high schools, yes, but high schools aren't really part of this bond issue at all in terms of that. But for everybody else, that would be yet to be determined, right?
With what's happened as of right now, what is your feeling? Where is this going to go?
I don't know that I have a feeling. Yeah, that I appreciate the question though. Yeah, I throughout the whole course of this, I've mentioned to the team, it's easy to feel a little schizophrenic. 1 minute it seems like this is going to happen, and then an hour later you get other news, and it's like, oh, this is going to happen. So it's a very fluid situation, and again, we appreciate the community showing up for kids, for showing up to vote. Everyone that came out to vote, we appreciate that and being engaged in our process. We're going to continue to do what's right by kids and do the best we can. So.
Just speaking a little on next steps, I know you answered some of that already, but what's the next step? How close is that going to be, depending on how this goes? And second, talk to me a little about financially, would this make sense if it was lowered. I know you can't talk too much on that, but there is speculation that they would be modified bond issue, and I was just wondering if that would make sense financially.
Yeah, I would wait until we know for sure how this one ends up to speculate on that. I don't remember your first question.
First was just next steps. What's the fastest we could hear?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think you know, my understanding is we will know kind of final election results within the next 7 days or so. It gets certified on the 6th. Is that right? I think March 10th. So maybe not officially until March 10th. You know, at that point, you know, we would start conversations and what comes next. So.
I want to go back to the school closures, just with some clarifying questions. So, when it comes to those schools that were planned to be closed, were you saying that not having, if the bond doesn't pass, it's going to delay those closures? Is that what you meant?
No, I meant we don't know. We don't know what it will mean, what impact it will have.
So, the schools that you said were going to close, you don't know if they're going to close if the bond doesn't pass, or like?
No, I said the plan is the plan, right? I said that that plan of those schools closing is still the plan. That's what the board voted on. To clarify, what I don't know is the timeline, because we don't know how the votes ended up yet.
So, talk to me about how the way that the vote skews affects the timeline.
Well, if the bond passes, then it's on the website. It's pretty clear when the new buildings will be built. If the bond doesn't pass, we aren't sure what the timeline will look like.
But if you don't have those new buildings built, then the closures are kind of contingent on that?
No, the closures are part of the plan.
Okay, sorry, I think I'm not being clear. I think my question is, a lot of parents had the impression, I think, that if they didn't pass this bond, or some parents had the impression that if they didn't pass this bond, it would be saving their neighborhood school. And I think that you guys have been pretty clear that those schools close regardless.
Right. Yep.
So I think I'm just wondering, how does this, if it's a no, how does it change that plan at all? How does it tweak it? Does it just delay the timeline when those schools get closed?
That's yet to be determined. Yeah.
Do you have a message to parents with just the uncertainty right now around the school district and moving forward?
Yeah. I mean, I think again, the process that we've gone through of engaging the community over these last few weeks has been you know, largely positive. We're telling about our district. We're telling about the great things we do for kids. We're talking about future ready centers and early childhood, and I think that engagement's, you know, been really good. Our parents in our community, they value our school system. They care about our schools, and so that engagement's been great. We're here for every kid. We're going to continue to do a great job with the kids we have and the teachers we have. We are seeing good outcomes. We're seeing good trends on a lot of our data. So a lot of really positive things going on in the district overall. So.
I have two things related to
Sure.
that. Number one, can you talk about when the 2008 bond expires?
Yeah. So the bonds, the vote happened in November of 2008. The bonds were actually sold, I think, in January of 2009, and they're 20-year bonds. So 2009 plus 20, so 2029 or thereabouts.
And then the second thing, I think there's a growing public perception of the Wichita Public Schools continuing to be competitive with enrollment dropping and now concerns over this bond and what the future of these buildings looks like. Talk about the school district's goals for improving that perception.
The perception of being competitive.
Of concerns that folks may have about Wichita Public Schools staying competitive, maybe compared to some of the suburban schools.
Yeah, I mean, I think we are competitive, right? I think we are. I think we graduate amazing kids that do amazing things. You know, we graduate Ivy League kids. We graduate a number of kids with IB diplomas. We graduate kids with, you know, 60 credit hours, and kids that walk across a stage getting an associate's degree the day after they get a high school diploma. We graduate kids that have already passed their EMT test. We do a lot of great things that in my mind do make us very competitive. We've got work to do, and some of what we've learned, I think, over the past really 6 to 8 months of engagement with the community is we need to make sure we're telling our story in a way that people hear it, to know those great things that we're doing, and not allow others to define our success, right? Because we have massive amounts of success. We graduated 81% of kids this year. 3,000 kids entered our community with a diploma and ready to go. And when our kids do better, our entire community does better. So I do think we've learned, and that's part of what's been exciting through this process, regardless of, at the end of the day, how the vote turns out, is the high level of engagement we've had with our community, telling our story, talking about the great things we do for kids, and hopefully building on that for future success.
To clarify on the school closings.
Sure.
So the way I understand it, if the bond passes, those 4 schools will close regardless. If the bond passes, those students would go to new or upgraded school buildings. If the bond fails, those students would go to existing school buildings, and you just don't know where those are.
Yeah, that's fair. The questions about the timeline, though, are not questions we know
Say
yet.
not this fall, though.
That is true. No buildings are closing in August of 25. That is true.
And you just don't know, and that's why I was asking about attendance boundaries. Because
Right.
because they could be contingent on that?
Right.
Okay.
Yep. That could be a solution, but again, we're not committing to that, and that I don't know what'll be the next step. So, yeah, that has been a point of confusion, though. So I'm glad you clarified.
One more thing I was going to ask, and this might be totally off base, but have you been talking to some of the other districts that are having bond elections coming up?
Well, yeah, I talk to them all the time.
I guess, is there anything in particular that, are they watching this election to see how it turns out to learn from it for theirs?
Oh, I don't have any idea. I would say all of the bond issues that are coming up over the next few months are each unique to that community. Some see mill rate increases, some don't. Some have one question, some have one and two questions. So, our one of our challenges, I think, that I hope again is a learning for our community. 46,000 students is an incredible number of students. And this bond issue of $450 million, when you divide that out per student, is significantly smaller than all the other bond issues that are going on around the county, even though their total number is smaller. When you look at a community like Mulvane, $50 million divided by the number of students they have, or Goddard, or Hayesville, or even Valley Center last year, 450 million is a big number, but 46,000 students is also a really big number. So when you have 88 school buildings or 94 buildings, 88 attendance centers, that scale is hard for people to wrap their head around. Both people that live in Wichita and outside of Wichita. So.
Have you and your team considered that this might not happen? And if this might not happen, do you have a plan?
Well, we'll wait till all the votes are counted, right, and before we make any kind of next step determinations. So. All right. Going once, going twice.
Thank you.
Appreciate you guys.